Well,
So,
on a different note, not too far off, in regards to even romantic relationships, when those come to an end and you lose that connection with that person, I stopped talking about those situations as well as I stopped talking about my mom because people were reacting so they were so much more either hurt or disturbed by the situation than me. And the example with my mom, I remember
right.
someone just being really angry with me because I kept talking about her. I was 18. I was like going through some things and I needed to talk to someone. And honestly, looking back, I needed to be in therapy because we'd already been through so much and no one would allow me to talk about it because it made them uncomfortable. What I recognize with romantic relationships, and sure, I've dated my share of trifling men. When it ended, I was like, okay, life goes on, I'm good. But in talking to other people, they would go bananas. Like, he should be run over by a tractor trailer. Like, okay, what did he do to you? Because I didn't even know you knew his name. Good Lord. So when people take on an emotion that's far more intense than yours for that thing or that person you lost, it confuses me as to, maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I should be more upset. Maybe I should stop talking about my mom. But what has happened in me backing away from people and not talking about my mom 30 years after the fact, I'm seeing people now who don't even remember her. I try to keep her fresh with her grandchildren, which she never met. Um,
Right.
and and she was my cheerleader. She was that force in my life that if I had any question, and I mean any question, she was on point answering it because her logic was if you're asking me something about anything, that means you've heard it or you've seen it, and I got to get in front of it. And she had
Right.
18 years with me. I've got two older siblings. Actually, there are seven of us collectively. But two older siblings that had a little bit more time with her than me. But me being the youngest, it's like, okay, I don't care what you ask me, I'm going to answer that question. And she empowered me in a way that, she would have never imagined. Depending on how that afterlife thing works, maybe she's watching. There's a few days I'm hoping she wasn't. But, we all get to make bad decisions.
I like to think that she's watching you and she's like, yeah, I want to have a chat with you when you get up. Yeah, we all have our appointed time. So yeah, but can I go back to something you talked about? Other people taking on your
Yeah,
emotion or putting their emotions.
yes.
Of it.
Hmm.
And as you were saying that, I was thinking like, yeah, why did that lady start crying in the store? Like, was she sympathizing with me? And
Hmm.
here's my thought, and I could be way off, and who knows? And it's not the first day I'll be way off, but I think that some people internalize emotions based on their life experiences.
Right.
So, like when you mentioned the man and the relationship and the other people in your circle were like, let's lynch him in the town square type situation. I think that they've had a situation in their own personal life that they never resolved,
Ever.
and therefore, oh, I can identify with what's going on with Gail. And because I didn't get the opportunity to lynch this man in the town square, let me help Gail lynch this man in the town square.
Yeah.
And the woman in the store, I think that the one that started crying in the story I just told, I think that she internalized it because she's a mother and she had three kids. And
Oh, yeah.
anytime you listen to a mother, that doesn't even have to be a mother. I think a person that has empathy and sympathy as a whole, they're going to be, oh my goodness, oh my God. So she, I think, just internalized it like, wow, I have three, and I would hate to think of one of these or all of them leaving me in this life. So that when you said that, I just
Yeah.
wanted to toss that out.
Because there's
But can we go
also,
back? I'm
oh,
sorry.
no, well,
Say it.
there's that the theory of transference and people also being empaths, how they will internalize a situation to the point of it destroying them. I heard a guy actually say that. a couple of weeks ago, and he said he's an actor, and he had to kiss a woman in a scene, and his girlfriend, he said, was an empath, and she came to knowing he was an actor, and that's part of what he did. And after she saw him kiss this woman in this scene, he said it destroyed her. And I was like, good God Almighty,
Well,
how?
maybe it's one of the serious kisses,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
Not
was there tongue and
right. That's I don't want to get all graphic, but yeah,
oh, I'm
it was
sorry.
like
Also, as we talk, I tend to have no filter and might have a potty mouth, so let's just go ahead and clarify that right now. And
yeah,
you
she's
were
a
gonna
potty
go
mouth.
back to say,
I'm gonna behave because my pastor may hear this or
there you
something.
go.
But all jokes
Y'all pray
aside,
for
I
me.
think that's what I wanted to circle back to. But before we circle back to, maybe the woman that was dating the actor, I
Mm,
don't know, but maybe she had some sort of pent up
something.
something. Maybe maybe she's feeling like, oh, if he kissed her like that, and maybe he kissed her the way he kissed her. Maybe he kissed the actress the way he kissed her. And
It's
I don't.
very interesting, and again, not to make light of her situation, but doggone it, I kind of understand because when I see Idris Elba kissing somebody, just takes me to a different place.
Okay, well, I gotta make this statement. He's getting married, right? If he hasn't
I
already
know,
got
I
married,
know. I'll be
so
drinking that day. I'll be toasting them.
yeah, just let it go. Just seriously let it go. I have to let some stuff go. You're gonna have to let that one just go.
I'll
I'm
be
just
okay.
saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it go.
I want. I wanted to circle back to answering a question as to why did we start this podcast
Hmm.
called Welcome to the Lost and Found. I mean, we talked about, basically a little bit of who we are, and we can always delve into that a little bit more if we want to. But why did we start it? What prompted us to start it?
Mainly because as I get older, I realize that there are too many people, and when I say older, and you don't have to be our age to heal. Healing
I
has
wish
that.
you'd start. Okay, hold on, just for a second. I'm going to interrupt you.
You're two
I
years
really wish
younger
you.
than me.
And I just really wish you stop saying our age because that's it. Every
It,
time you say something like that, I just think like, oh, Jesus, how old am I?
right.
Okay, sorry. But
But
let's
as you
just
and let's not put it on an age on it. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with chronology. It has everything to do with maturity. And at some point, it's not even a matter of getting over something you lost. It's understanding the dynamics of that loss and how it's affected you as you go forward. Because as we stated earlier, a lot of things you lose, you don't need to find again. You should not be looking for them. You need to let them go because you probably didn't lose them. They probably left or were taken away organically by God, the universe, something to save you from yourself. But emotionally, sometimes we get so caught up with something from our past that we think we should still have and
mm,
lose our minds trying to get back to that thing. I cannot bring
right,
my mother back, but I see the
right.
spirit of her in my nieces and nephews. And it's amazing that a piece of her continues. So if I were that manic, or I don't want to use the word manic, if I had disrespected her wishes and sat around crying every day and quoting things she says, well, I do that anyway. I do that for my nieces and nephews because my mother was hilarious. Uh, if we did something, me specifically, because I was that child, the sneaky one who tried to keep it to myself, but she always knew. And if I tried to get caught up doing something my friends did, her general statement would be, "You ain't gonna do it." So I do quote her on occasion, but she had very specific instructions. Don't sit around crying over me. Don't come to my grave dropping stuff off. I'm not there. Don't stop living your life because I'm not here anymore. And don't accuse me of being the reason you stop living your life. Basically, she was taking away every excuse that I could have come up with And I speak
Right.
for myself. I would not speak on behalf of my sister or my brother, because three children in the same house with the same mother came with a result of three different people, because we all took
Right.
on personalities, or our own, of course, and then bits and pieces of both parents. So um,
Right.
losing anything yourself, the family ring, there was a newscast the other day where a lady lost her husband. He had some form of cancer, and they talked about it, and they lived a wonderful life, and she was not ready to let him go, and she discovered this new technique where you can take that person's ashes and have them formed into a diamond or some type of gemstone to go on a piece of jewelry. So it takes about, I think they said about 18 weeks for that to get done. And she's waiting for the stone to go into the ring setting so she can have her husband with her, because she wasn't ready to let him go. People have their animals, what's that called? It's not stuffed. It's
I was just about to say so.
stuffed animal. It's oh goodness, I forget the term, but you know when you
Actually, I
have
went at it too, but when you said that, I actually saw a fox sitting up on like the table in some house. I
yeah,
don't know why.
yeah,
What
because
is that called?
that that's not cremation. That's the taxidermy.
There you go.
Taxidermy.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we got started by understanding that collectively, I'm in Texas, you're in Arizona, we are running into people who really don't have either the resources or the support system to help them move beyond that loss, and they're still trying to find that thing. I know people that are just grappling at their youth, and they're stuck in the 80s. My God, if for no other reason, the neon aspect of the 80s need to be left in the 80s. But that's not
Well,
my
I'm sorry.
issue to.
I'm sorry. I got to interrupt. I have to interrupt. I like, and I really wish they bring back the leg warmers.
They
Go
are
ahead.
back in Texas. They're back in Texas.
What? It's
Okay?
too hot in Arizona, so that makes no
It's
sense.
too
But
hot in Texas.
well, okay, listen. All I know is that it's like 90-something degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, who's gonna wear leg warmers? But I like that trend from the 80s and stuff. Go ahead.
But
Sorry.
that's basically why we got started, helping, trying to be a platform of discussion to help people to start to understand if the loss needs to be mourned and let go, or do we continue down that road. In our discussions, which we tried to outline how many, some of the stuff we talk about, but just
Right.
understanding that at some point you have to do, and I'm a planner. I even have I'm certified planner, business analyst, all of that. So at some point, you have to do that self analysis, and like a little SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, the outcome.